Hi folks, this is a 95% confidence intervals. So this formula up here is how we're going to calculate a confidence interval. So we'll go into more about what it's about in a minute. I've done it, and that's if you just use the normal standard error. So this here, that's the standard of error we're going to be using. This part of it, so 1.96 times the proportion minus 1 minus the proportion over n. So there's a more basic formula like this of 1 over root n, so you can do p hat plus or minus 1 over root n. That's another way of doing it. That's a more basic way of doing it, but this way is more accurate when we use this formula. So, and this is on higher level, so you have to know this for higher level. So I'm just going to write down what the formula is anyway first. So p hat plus or minus square root was 1.96 So in a survey carried out in a large city, so 170 households out of a random sample of 250 owned at least one pet. So find the standard error first of all. So we have to find the standard error, so that's going to be the 1.96 square root, and then it's going to be well, my p hat here will be 170 out of 250, so that's 0.68. So that's our p then that we're putting into the formula over here. So it'll be 0.68 times 1 minus 0.68 all over 250. So that's 0.06 when you round it off to 2 decimal places. So we're just taking each of those things. So we know what our p hat is, and then we know what our margin of error really is, or standard error. So that's 0.06. So we're taking those two things, and it'll be plus or minus in the middle. So it's 0.68 plus or minus 0.06. Yeah, so if you look back at the questions, because the second part of the question is just to work out the confidence interval. So that's going to be 0.62 and 0.74. And that's basically, if we convert it to percentages, that's 62% to 74%. So we're 95% sure then that households in the whole city that the number of households that have at least one pet in the whole city would be between 62% and 74%. So it's within that bracket. So we've worked out that's what the confidence interval is. If you take just the proportion, just 170 households, and you test those in the sample and just see if they have at least one pet, or sorry, 250 households, I mean, then for the whole city, for the entire city, we'd be 95% sure that between 62% and 74% have them. So it's just using that formula, but that's what we have found. So here's another one. So if you want to try this yourself, you can, and pause the video and play it on. We'll go through the answers. So manufacturer wants to assess the proportion of defective items in a large batch produced by, so he tests a random sample of 300, so 45 out of 300, that's going to be our proportion, or sample proportion. So if you just put that in the calculator, 45 divided by 300, so you should get 0.15. And then our standard error is going to be let's just put putting everything into the formula again. So there was 300 in the sample, and we get 0.04. So our confidence interval n will be 0.15 plus or minus 0.04. So that would be 0.11 and 0.19. So that's between 11 and 19%. So in between 11 and 19% of the items then are defective for the whole company, basically, or for all of the ones produced by a machine. So he only tests 300 items, and he finds that 45 are defective. But we're 95% sure then that for all of the items produced by the machine in total, so for the whole company, that between 11 and 19% of them are defective. So that's what that means. So that's it for confidence intervals